LBSi's AMP What If order recommendation screen can be used to review planning generation order recommendations for a specific parent item, quantity, and warehouse. Production and purchase orders can be created from this screen for the parent item and its components. This window is not intended to be used instead of the standard AMP order recommendation screen and does not offer all the functionality found on the AMP order recommendation screen. To access this window, go to MRP AMP What If order recommendations. To populate the screen with data, you must enter some information first in the header in order for the data to populate. In the item code field is where you can enter in the code for the parent item you want to look at. Once you enter in the item code, the description of the item will appear in the box to the right. In the warehouse field, you can select which warehouse to source order recommendations from. If you select Use BOM, then the source warehouse for each item will correspond to the warehouse on the bill of materials. You can specify how much quantity of the parent item you want to produce by designating an amount in the quantity field. The due date field is where you can enter the date the parent item will be planned for completion. Finally, if you check the Shortages Only checkbox, then the window will display only the items that contain shortages. With the header information entered, you can now click the refresh button at the bottom to update the window. Moving on to the column fields, in the first column will be the corresponding checkbox that you can check in order to create the following supply type. In the supply type column, you can select which supply document you want to use in order to fulfill the demand. This will already contain the supply type that corresponds with the type of item, but it can also be changed to a purchase order, purchase quotation, production order, purchase order request, transfer order request, or a phantom item. The item column will display the item number for the item, and if you drill down into the golden arrow, it will take you to the item master record of the item. The name or description of the item will appear in the description column. The unit of measure column will display the unit of measure for the corresponding item. Following that is the total quantity required column. This will display the quantity that is required to make the number of the parent item specified in the header quantity field. The net quantity required column is where you can enter the quantity that will be on the supply document. If there is a quantity already in the column, that means that your item contains a shortage and needs the quantity added to the warehouse in order to get rid of the shortage. In the warehouse column will be the warehouse that the supply document is created for. This can be changed to another warehouse that is already set up in your system. The order by column will display the date that the order should be created in order for the supply to be in by the order date. This takes into account the lead time of the item. The due date column will correspond to the same due date that was previously entered in the due date header field, and once the document is created from this window, that date will populate in the delivery date field on the line item. The next column is for the lead time of the line item. It will display the corresponding value from the Planning Data tab on the Item Master. Total lead time refers to the total lead time that it takes to make the item. For the parent item, this will contain the value of the longest lead time from the child items. If we scroll to the right, we will see more fields that pertain to this window. The Use Preferred Vendor checkbox will allow you to designate if you want to use the preferred vendor or not. The vendor column will display the vendor code of the preferred vendor, and if you would like to change this field to a different vendor, you can do so by entering in a different vendor code. The name of the corresponding vendor will be shown in the vendor name column. The source warehouse column will allow you to choose the warehouse that will be used to fulfill the required demand for the item. Following that in the source column will be either make, buy, or transfer. This depends on what value is entered in the procurement method field on the Planning Data tab on the Item Master. The inventory item column will indicate if the item is an inventory item or not. Once you decide to create one of the following documents, the document number will populate in the document number column. The on-hand, committed, and on-order quantity columns will display their corresponding values that appear on the warehouse level on the Item Master record. The order minimum and order multiple columns will both either be the values from the Inventory Data or Planning Data tab on the Item Master. If there is data on both tabs, then AMP will only look at the values on the Inventory Data tab, since those values are tied to the warehouse level. Finally, the Use Minimum column will contain a checkbox that, when checked, will apply the order minimum to the quantity required field. When you finally want to create a supply document, you can check the corresponding checkbox in the first column and make sure that there is a value in the net quantity required field, since that is the quantity that will be on the supply document. With the checkbox checked and quantity entered, you can click the Create button at the bottom to create the supply documents. LBSi's AMMP What If Order Recommendation screen displays key information about the inventory associated with items on a particular bill of materials. Join us in future videos as we break down how LBSi's AMP module can help you improve your existing SAP Business One planning functionality. Be sure to click the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss a new video. As an SAP Gold partner, LBSi can help you take full advantage of everything the system has to offer. To get in contact with us, visit our website at www.lbsi.com and navigate to the contact link. You can also email us at sales@lbsi.com for sales-related inquiries, or SAP support@lbsi.com if you're an existing client in need of support assistance.